I'm just bringing out some friends here, some friendly puppets to talk about relationship anarchy. If you're watching on video, you might be like so impressed with my finger puppets today that you're like, I'm going out and getting finger puppets. If I had enough hands, I would have actually brought out my bigger puppets that are more like Muppet puppets, because they're characters, they are funny, and there's a lot of voices, and me keeping track of that would have been very hilarious. Some of them have very thick accents, but anyway, those are puppets for you. So relationship anarchy is it's kind of a philosophy that, just like all other anarchy, is like rejecting all social expectations, rejecting everything about society. Yeah, the punk lifestyle. So relationship anarchy is basically the philosophy which rejects social expectations for relationships in favor of building bonds based on mutual trust, respect, and consent. So there are no hierarchies, no labels, no set rules when it comes to these kinds of bonds. Each connection can develop in its own way as desired and be as intimate or casual as they like. So, you know, these guys are all about relationship anarchy. This Nancy, which is a different Nancy than we had before, because that Nancy's now in some recovery program. She actually became an addict. That's okay. And then this Nata is also a different Nata than before. And this is the new and improved Rick, because the old Rick, he ended up with a head trauma. And then this Bob, it's the same old Bob, but he's back, and he's back to try something new. So relationship anarchy. So how do you actually have relationship anarchy, right? So relationship anarchy is if you're rejecting all rules and you're creating your own bonds and you're trying your own thing, it's going to be a little different, right? So if you're creating your own bonds, maybe we've got Rick and Nata, and they're like, you know what? We're really into power play dynamics, and we're just going to have some fun over here. Now, I know that this Nancy, she's like really into voyeurism. So, hey, Nata, what do you think about having this Nancy like hang in the corner and watch as I spank you? And Nata's like, hey, that sounds cool. I'm into exhibitionism. And Nancy's like, cool, I'm into voyeurism. Cool. So they've developed this relationship. And this guy, Bob's like really into feeding people like delicious food. So he has been cooking all day, and he gets really turned on by watching people eat. So he invited everybody up for dinner to feed them like they were royalty. These guys are having some kind of wild fun because their relationships are just completely different. And they kind of come and go as they please. And because they're just into relationship anarchy, they're, you know, they build bonds with each other, and they respect each other, and everything they're doing, if you've noticed, is consent-based. Like Rick had an idea, and he asked Nata and he asked Nancy how they felt about it. And then Bob created some food, and he invited them up for a party. So they're all asking each other and having communication on and seeing how this will work. And they like to see how things will grow, and testing some boundaries and testing out some different ways of being with each other. They just want to see how things are going to work. And they might develop bonds over time. They might not, but they're all about discovering and learning.